I've come up with a way to totally eradicate this whole idea of rejection in sales. If it's over at hello, how the heck are you going to succeed in selling? You've got to rise above that and change your mindset. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Stump the Guru Show. It's been a while. We have this show every month. My name is Ari Galper. I'm specialized in trust-based selling. Been doing this for the last 20 years in this niche, helping entrepreneurs, salespeople, consultants, advisors, anybody who has to sell their services, sell their offer, but doesn't want to compromise their integrity in the process as well. And doesn't have to do the old school chasing process and everything everyone hates around selling. So welcome everyone who's here live on the show. The way this works is you can come in the queue and ask me a live question on the show. Just go to 𝗕𝗲𝗲𝗀𝗲.com. That link will take you right into the queue of the show. And my cohort here, Steve, will select you to come on in. First come, first serve. And this is your chance to bring me your thorniest, most complex, most difficult sales challenge. And I'll provide you some live coaching here and to give you a sample of what I do. And if you want to learn more, work with me directly, just go to unlockthegame.com/free consult, which is on the bottom of the screen there, and fill the application out. We can have a chat about what your challenge is longer term. So, well, again, we'll get started, get the show rolling. Again, welcome to Stump the Guru. So we'll Steve, would you mind pull the first gentleman in who wants to ask a question? Would be great. Welcome.
Hey Ari, how you doing?
Good to see you.
Same here. So I missed you last time. We had some technical difficulties, and I was like right up back-to-back appointments, so I couldn't make it. But I'm glad to be here this time.
Great.
Did you get my testimonial? Was it air?
All good. Yeah. So appreciate it. Everyone on the show, Ago's been in my world for a long time now, many years, and he's here to ask a question.
Okay.
And we'll get started.
Well, I think last time I had a question prepared, and now I've had second thoughts, and I come up with something that I think still comes up from time to time. So I thought, why not get back to some basics?
Yes.
Of prospects. You've heard this. Prospects that disappear.
Okay.
And sometimes, did you do everything right? Could you have done things differently? What's the likelihood, if you did almost everything right, what did you miss, in your opinion, Ari? Or, I mean, there may be times where obviously people are just not forthcoming, right? I mean, they lie to you. In other words, you ask fair questions and they say yes, and maybe they've had a change of heart, what have you. But I think it's worth nailing down from my point of view, and I'm going to try to be specific. What is it that I can do to be precise and convey that I'm the go-to expert, I'm the man, let's see if there's a fit, and here's what I need to know from you to decide if we can go to the next level, to sort of convey, and it's all good either way. But let's be clear with each other, let's respect each other's time. And so why don't we review that, Ari? And all for the reason that I still happens once in a while, not as much, where people seem gung-ho and then they're gone.
Look, I think the core reason why you may be having potential prospects slip through your fingers, even though you feel like it should be a wonderful fit together.
Right.
There's this chemistry. It's like,
yes.
This feels so right.
Yeah.
And they're excited, you're excited. And most likely the reason why they're not proceeding is because somewhere earlier on in that conversation, you didn't go deep enough down what I call the iceberg. And the iceberg really is the process that takes someone down to really peel the onion back around their problem and to really amplify the issue with them, to help them understand the gravity of it and the either losses or the impact of not solving it. And it's very possible that you're going down a few levels down and you're saying to yourself, perfect. I can help this guy. He's totally qualified. If it's my ideal person, I'm going to move this guy forward. It's possible you are moving them forward too early on in your process, and they're not quite yet owning the gravity of the issue. And that's the real key, is that subtle moment, because they have to own the problem. You have to ask this question, which is this a priority for you to address once and for all? Or are you happy to live with the risk longer term, unresolved, and I'm okay either way?
I think that's perfectly said. Live with the risk longer term.
Or address it once and for all. And here's the key. You say, I'm okay either way. Because you have to be detached from the outcome. It's their responsibility to make the decision to solve it, not you. So even though you know you can help them and you're passionate, I know you care about people and your customers, you can't overlay that to them prematurely until they say to you, yes, this is something I have to address once and for all, because I know the risk of this is too large to keep going with this. Let's do this. So and then you find somebody.
Okay, that question, Ari, if I may ask, that comes once you've gone down the iceberg.
Yes, once you've unpacked the issue, you've asked them the questions about the risk and the impact of the situation, and they understand now how serious it is, because in most cases, your prospects and ideal clients won't be vulnerable with you up front and tell you the truth of where they're at, because they don't trust you yet. So you have to be the first person to make them feel comfortable and build what I call a moment of vulnerability, where they fully understand the gravity of their issue. It's like a doctor and a patient, right? It's when the doctor says, I think the x-ray is telling us here you have a real problem, more than you thought you did. And you're like, oh, really? Because we often don't want to go that deep. So, and let me tell you, the end of your call with someone shouldn't be exciting. It should be kind of like, gulp, I guess I'm going to deal with this. Anyway, so that's my advice to you, is to make sure you're going down the iceberg to the bottom, and then that question.
Well, the other thing is, okay, so here's a good question for you, Ari. Is there a clue that you get from the client saying, okay, now I've gone deep enough? That's a good question, right? It's like, how do you gauge that? Because what I was thinking when you said that originally was, well, I'm sold, so let's move on. But the client is not there yet. So I guess.
Exactly. It's like two ships in the night crossing each other, because we already know we can help them and you can solve their problem, but they're not ready yet to owning it enough to ask for help.
What's the clue? What's the tip off, Ari?
The clue is when they say to you, how can you help me? Or how do you work?
Okay, what do you suggest? What do you suggest?
What do you suggest? Where should we go from here? Because what'll happen is you'll jump in too early by accident and say, oh, great, I can help you with that. I've got the perfect plan to solve that problem, because we care about people. We want to help them, and we can't. It's hard to hold back when we know they got the problem, but you've got to wait until they own it. It's almost like a therapist and a patient. If the patient doesn't own their own problem from the beginning of the therapy, they're the worst patients to have. The same concept here.
You're so right. It's even better when you talk about an alcoholic. You say, well, I got to tell him, he should go to rehab. But until he decides, you're wasting your time. So that's exactly cool. So go down the iceberg, and then that question, which is the real question, because that's another mistake, Ari. It's another mistake, because now they understand the problem, but for some reason you're assuming, okay, so we're doing it, right?
Exactly.
Right? Of course we're doing it. You understand. Like you're in trouble here. You need to do something. Yeah, I do, but not now.
That's what I call making assumptions prematurely.
And I had someone like that just recently, Ari, if you'll allow me. I said, okay, so he understands. He said, thank you so much. I never looked at it that way. He says, can you call me in the spring, because right now I'm doing renovations on my house. I went, oh my God. And so thankfully I was able to put it in perspective for him.
Awesome. Look, I go. We got to pull more people into the show, but
all right.
It's great to see you. Great question.
I miss you, Ari. You know, so I like to, you know what I'm saying?
Come back next month to the show again.
I will. All right. Thanks again.
Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right. So we'll pull our next guest in. Again, if my name is Ari Galper with Trust-Based Selling, and today's show is Stump the Guru, where you can ask me a live question. If you want to go deeper with me one-on-one, just go to the website at the bottom of the screen, unlockthegame.com/free consult. All right. So who else do we have in the show? Let's bring them in live, and let's go. Hello, welcome.
Hi, Ari. How you going?
Good, Nick. Good to see you.
And you too. You too. I have a question, and it comes up a lot for me, given the nature of the work that we do with the consulting. But the question is, how do you re-engage a client that you haven't spoken with in a while? For example, if you haven't spoken for 6 or 12 months, and you used to work with them, and then want to keep them interested. So how do you re-engage that client that you haven't spoken with in a while?
Okay, great question. And this is very common. And it's common for us in this scenario to want to call them back and try and re-engage them again around the previous relationship. We think that's enough. That's the only bridge we have. But the way you really want to do it is you want to engage them around the original problems that they were having, that you were already working with them on, or you recall them talking to you about, because you want to anchor the trust building process around their world and not yours. So you have to essentially think about what was it that their problem was back then, or what could be their issues now. And when you re-engage with them, you give them a call and say, hi, John, it's Nick. Hope you're doing well. I know we worked together in the past, or I know we spoke a few months back, and I recall, and this is the bridging phrase, I recall that you were having some challenges around bringing new people in who are higher performers, and I know you were having trouble keeping that performance up. Is that still an issue you're still working on? See, so you're engaging them and connecting them with them again around their problem, not around the relationship, which really wasn't a real relationship. It was a professional relationship. Does that make sense?
It does. So as a follow-up then, if that's no longer the problem,
okay,
so they respond to you, say, actually, yeah, that all worked out well. We've dealt with that. How then do you reconnect them back?
So then you pull back one level back, and I know you work in the HR space. So what you'd say is, good, I'm glad to hear that. Are there any specific particular issues right now that you're grappling with among your team?
So get them back into that, what you were just talking about. Try to get them into that iceberg. We start to dig again.
Find the problem, because anyone in business always has problems. Every single day they're juggling issues. Now, I know you work with people and staff and teams, especially in those areas, always problems, no matter what. There's never figure out a fix. So you want to ask, is there any other particular challenge you have right now among your staff related to HR issues that you're grappling with right now?
Okay.
Obviously, if they say no, we're all good, then disengage.
No problem. We'll speak to you.
So
we'll speak again later.
You're hunting for the problems they're having. You're not trying to sell your services. That's the flip.
Okay.
Sound good?
There we go. Thank you.
All right, Nick. Good to see you.
Thanks, Ari. Have a good day.
Take care. Bye-bye. All right. We got quite a few people in the queue today, which is fantastic. Obviously, the show is getting more visibility, which is great. So again, this is your chance to jump on in and ask your sales challenge live on the show, and to get my help with that in this short amount of time. So we'll bring the next person in and see who we have here. Welcome. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
This is Joe. I don't know if you're talking to me.
Yeah, Joe, I am talking to you. I'm sorry. Yeah,
my screen is spinning around.
Yeah, no worries. I didn't.
I'm glad you can hear me. I can't see what's going on live. It's kind of frozen a bit, so I'm kind of surprised you can even hear me.
We're all good, Joe. So
All right.
fill us
So
in on
my
your
issue,
question.
sure. My issue is how do you build trust when you're doing a webinar, when you're the person moderating the webinar?
You mean you're actually delivering it to a
Yes,
group of
I
people?
would be the moderator, meaning that I would do the introduction part, and then I would turn it over to a person that would give the presentation, if you will. But along with that, I would also be moderating the chat, and all the and any questions that they might come up with on chat that we think would be something we'd want to answer during that webinar. And then at the end, I would be the person at the end, talking about the call to action.
So what particular issues are you finding right now in that role that you would like some help with? Because I'm trying to understand what's the problem you're trying to solve for yourself. What are you
Yeah, so
experiencing that's not working?
you know how if you don't know somebody, and then it's not like you're interacting one-on-one with a person, so it's a little more, I feel, difficult in understanding how you come across as a trustworthy person. So, are there any things that you can do at the beginning of a presentation to kind of get people to, trust you, whether it be using analyst quotes, using credibility from other folks, or talking about, hey, we talked to other customers like you, and here's what we've been finding are the issues, and that's what we'd like to address today on the webinar.
Yes, I think that last option is the direction to go, which is you basically bring up the problems that you're going to help them address on the webinar that that most likely having based upon your experience, your surveys. The way you build trust with people is you start in their world and not yours. Statistics, credibility, testimonials, those are from your world, and those are detached from them. What they want to hear is that they're in the right place to address their concerns and their issues based on the topic of your webinar. So, whatever the webinar topics are, all you have to do is extract from that the top 3 issues that solution solves. And then that becomes the connector between you and them and why they're there.
Got it.
And you should also emphasize that this webinar you're about to watch is all about helping you address these issues. And if you need help beyond what you learned today, at the end of the conversation, there'll be an opportunity for you to have a chat with this gentleman afterwards. So keep an eye out for how to do that.
Okay.
That way you're reframing in advance that they may not get all their answers today, which obviously can't happen in this short amount of time, but there is a way to get deeper into it afterwards. That way they're not surprised at the end if there's a next step.
Got it. Very good. Do you do an agenda too? I would think that you'd say, we're prepared after you talk about other customers are experiencing these issues, and we're going to discuss those. And like you said, if we're not able to address your concerns during the session, we're also going to be having another follow-on session to address your needs. And we're also going to have a survey. I don't know if we bring that up, but then do you go through an agenda after that?
No.
Okay.
They want what you've got. And I think if you spend too much time pre-framing all this, after a while you'll lose people.
Okay.
Because they're impatient. They're ready. They're like, let's get engaged, right? So I think just get them on-ramped and in as soon as possible.
Okay. That sounds great. And then one other comment more than a question was, I've had really good success with, I believe it was yourself that said this, that if you apologize to somebody, let's say somebody hasn't gotten back to you and you've been reaching out to them for a while, if you take the stance of, hey, I apologize for not getting back to you sooner on this, particular issue, and then all of a sudden I'm getting people to respond to that. It's like, you take off the, I don't know, the sales gear or whatever it might be, but they seem to be responsive. I think that was what you told me to do. Is that right?
Yes. So we're talking about here is what I call falling on your sword,
Yes.
where you're human first, and this approach applies to when you're chasing somebody, and you had a good call with them, and they dropped off,
Yes.
and now you're chasing them, and you would call them back and basically say, "Look, it's my fault as to why you're not calling." It's the whole apology approach. You're right. We can talk more about that later on, but I'm really glad you're using that. It's working
Yeah.
for you.
It's working really well. I appreciate that.
Awesome.
And
Great
that's
to see you,
really
bro.
all. Thank you.
Take care. See you next month, hopefully.
Yep.
Okay. Bye-bye. All right. Welcome, everyone who's new coming to the show right now to Stump the Guru, where it's your chance to come on live to the show, ask a sales challenge that you have, and we'll give you some coaching on the spot to go out and use the new ideas, get some results, and come back and tell us how it went. So we'll bring the next contestant as a contestant and on the show, next guest. Welcome, my friend. Can you hear me? Oh, we can't hear you. Your sound is off there.
How about now?
There we go.
Clear?
How you doing?
Awesome. Oh, terrific. I'm actually glad I got on. Awesome. I couldn't be more excited to talk to you. My question is, I spoke with, in speaking to the doctors, I spoke with the dentist who actually sold their practice, and I was just, reaching out to, hey, look, I want to help dentists and just figure out, what are some of the pains that, people coming out of school have or starting to practice. Could you list some of those things? And she gave me a list of things, and then she also said there's a convention coming up in town in about a month, and so I'm now, and she gave me a lot of things that I could potentially reach out to them, with student loan debt, which is monumental, some things that they dental school is good, teaching how to fix teeth, but not how to run a business, some tips on insurance. And so I'm a little confused right now because I want to go to this convention and I'm not sure what approach I should take. Should I put together a flyer and say, hey, I don't know what I should do. Should I just
let me see if I understand this. So you're a financial advisor, I know that. And you're saying that there's a specific doctor you're trying to approach, or an audience inside of a live event?
Audience inside of a live event. So there's a dental convention coming up, and I want to go and try and big picture is, I guess, find one. I guess the 80%, the biggest problem that most dentists have, and say, hey, is this a problem for you? Is there something? Okay. And then maybe.
And are you talk? Okay, so what you're trying to do is lead generate from a group of people live in an environment like that are targeted towards your niche audience, and you're asking me how can you go about having some bait in a fishing pole to fish out a whale out of that group that could be a client for you, right?
Yeah, similar as you've done, like in a financial way, like what, I think as you say, what river does everybody fly down or flow down that would resonate with them? And so I wanted to, I figured what suggestions you would have.
Obviously, some kind of opt-in information product, like an ebook or a physical book around, when you sell your practice, here are 7 things you have to be aware of to not get overtaxed and lose what you earned over the years, right? So something attractive to people who are in that mode of selling or thinking about selling that they want to get to prevent losses. And that could go through, of course, your website, and that becomes the lead now for you. That could be your inbound lead flow to generate leads. So the medium could be a physical book or an ebook, but the content has to address the issues that will be coming for them soon when they're ready to sell their practice. So the book might say, will you be selling your practice in the next 3 to 5 years? ? If so, these are 7 important financial decisions you have to make in planning and preparing for that exit.
Okay. Right. Yeah. She mentioned selling her practice, maybe just those fresh coming out of school with a lot of debt. So finding that right approach is something I know I need to connect with you and really dig a little deeper down the iceberg.
And make sure that you also position yourself as a trusted authority. What I mean by that is that you have to language your brand. Like you have to become somebody important for them around the problem. Like you might be, for instance, New York's expert financial advisor for dentists who want to sell their business. Like you have to narrow down that niche and be the guy for them, if that makes sense.
Okay. Yeah, that's great. That's great. Yeah.
Awesome.
So we'll connect a little more on this in the
Got
future.
it. Look forward to
Thanks,
it.
Ari. As
Take care.
always.
All right. Bye-bye. It's great to see so many people who've been around my world for a long time now. For those who don't know me or are new to the show, I've been doing this for 20 years, 2 decades, focusing only on trust-based selling, spending thousands of hours one-on-one with clients and helping them crack the code on diffusing resistance and not having to chase people and really building trust quickly. And a lot of my work is around helping people in the businesses where they are in a low volume, high price point, high trust model, advisors, consultants, entrepreneurs who are in a high trust environment. That's what this is about today. So we'll pull a few more in for the show. We're having a great crowd today. Let's see who else has come in. And when you come on in, just say your name and where you're from.
Hi. You can hear me okay?
I can, yes. What's your name? Where are you from?
Good. My name is Andrea, and I'm from Canada, the west coast of Canada. Thank you so much, Ari. I listened to you. I actually heard you for the first time with Ed Moss. I think it's Ed Moss. Not Moss was his last. Peter Moss.
Yeah,
anyway.
I think with Fred Moss.
Fred,
Dr. Fred.
Peter,
Famous Dr. Fred.
Yes, the psychiatrist.
Sure.
Anyway, so my question for you is, so I work in pharmaceutical sales, and I only have one product, really, one molecule that I promote to addiction specialists, so doctors who work in addiction and nurses. And my question for you is, how do you engage someone who has to then go and convince somebody else? Because I am not selling anything really to the physician. It's a concept or an idea of writing a prescription for somebody who's struggling with addiction.
But who writes the prescription? The doctor, right?
The doctor does, yeah. So it's the concept or the idea of them writing, buying into, who that is going to be for.
Oh, I see. So it's a new concept they have to kind of think through in advance about how they go about prescribing it to?
Yeah, I mean, in a sense, it's an opiate blocker. So they're familiar with the type of product because we have other formulations. This happens to be an injectable formulation.
Sure.
And so they're, it's one of the challenges with physicians often is that they already think they know it.
Right.
And so that's probably the biggest thing is kind of getting over somebody who thinks they already know everything there is to know.
Okay. So with a person like that, you have to be very careful with the words that you use, the language that you use, as you know, because you don't want to trigger a reaction of defensiveness. And if the ego is high like that, you have to kind of come into the conversation with languaging that engenders trust and respects them as well. So in your case, you might want to use language like this. Would you be open to an alternative approach to addressing these issues that you have with specific patients around addiction? So would you be open replaces the word would you be interested?
Yes.
Right? And then if they're open to the concept, then you can go into kind of how it's different, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Now, what's some of the resistance you imagine getting back? Some of the objections you imagine getting back?
Well, I think the biggest challenge with physicians is just a time thing. Like there's, right now we only work from home. So it's either via phone or virtual meetings. So I have to get those first, request them to take the time to meet with me. That is a bit of I just request it. I'm very short in my emails, requesting time, 15 to 20 minutes.
Well, what do you write when you in your email, when you write to request a time? What do you say in there word for word? Do you remember what you write?
Word for word, I say, are you open to having a conversation, a brief conversation, 15 to 20 minutes with me? And then usually it's like, I look forward to hearing from you.
So do you lay in the issues as well in that email that explains the problems that you help them solve?
No, I don't. And I've actually, that's part of my challenge is I don't really know how much do I want to give them that they're just going to respond to the email and answer it.
Oh, I see.
You know?
So, okay, well, let me ask you, is that working for you, by the way, that email?
You know what? It is actually. It's not
Then leave it.
100%, but it definitely works. Short and sweet, I think, with
Great.
physicians
Fine.
is
I agree.
great. So then it's just a matter of once I get on the call with them, like I've written down, I've listened to all of these that you had recorded. I've got your books. I haven't read them yet. I got them yesterday.
Sure.
But I love Are You Open? Because I
Yes.
believe that is like really easy for people. Even
Yes.
I look forward to hearing back from you. For some reason, it's almost like it's an invitation for them versus, I don't know, thanks for your time or whatever.
Correct.
Um,
Yeah. You could also
um,
add in, would you be willing to consider?
I
That's
like
another-
that, and I've written that down as well because you've said that
Test
before.
that phrase, test different phrases
Okay,
and see which ones connect. Yeah.
okay. I'm going to do that. I'm going to read your book, and I think you and I
Great.
have a conversation coming up next week too. So
Look forward
that'll
to
be
it.
great.
All right.
Okay.
Sounds great.
Thanks, Ari.
Take
Thanks.
care. Bye-bye. Good to
Bye.
meet you. All right. So we're on a roll here with Stump the Guru. We've had 4 or 5 people so far with different scenarios, which is great. And so if you're watching the show, welcome. And if it's your first time here, hope you're enjoying taking some notes, getting some insights on how to change your mindset, change your approach. So I think we have some more people in the queue here. So let's see who we have next. And we'll bring someone new in. Come on in. Steve, are we finished?
Hey, what's going on, Ari? We have one question in Slack. So if you want to jump on your Slack and read it from 𝗕𝗃𝗃, he has submitted it. His camera's not working today.
Oh,
So
okay.
if you want to grab that. And then he is, I believe, our last participant for this evening.
Okay. The question was, what suggestions do you have for a sales guy who just started following Ari Galper's approach who gave his prospects? If we have time at the end. Okay. All right. So it's a pretty generic question, but I think the big idea here, if you're new in selling and you don't want to start with the wrong approach, which is the typical sales approach, and if you're making outbound calls, which is, hi, my name is, I'm with, and you get rejected there, you want to begin your opening conversation with this. Hi, my name is 𝗕𝗃𝗃, and I'm hoping you can help me out for a moment. That's how you begin your outbound call. Then they're going to say to you, how can I help you? Then from there, you start with engaging them around, I'm just giving you a call to see if you'd be open. That's the key phrase, open. Just some different ideas on insights on how to resolve the issues of, and you plug in the core problems that you solve. And I outline this in my book, Unlock the Sales Game. If you want to get the book, it's on my website. Go to unlockthegame.com, grab a copy there. There's more insights there. And I want to thank everybody for being on the show today. It's been a lot of fun for me. And if it's resonated with you so far, then reach out and say hello on LinkedIn. I think we may have one more person who just jumped in. So let's bring him in. If not, we'll say goodbye for now. And thank you for everyone for being on the show. See you next month. Take care. Bye-bye.